So just how do you follow Far Cry? Well, Crytek have spent the last 3.5 years dealing with difficult second game syndrome, and they're almost ready to reveal the results. But we're impatient buggers, so we've come all the way to Frankfurt to find out absolutely everything you could ever possibly want to know about Crysis.
For a first effort from a team of Euro newcomers, Far Cry dazzled on its debut in March 2004. The smarty pants shooter on Paradise Island set new standards for technical wizardry and offered an experience compelling enough to shift over 1 million copies. It also impressed an 8 out of 10 from a goggle-eyed Kristen, who observed, in the final analysis, it just maybe lacks the creative edge and imagination that would have catapulted it into classic territory. To the relentless ringing of cash registers, publisher Ubisoft caught franchise fever and promptly produced a solid spin-off on Xbox, followed by a decent 360 installment and a woeful appearance on Wii that's best forgotten. The official sequel, cunningly named Far Cry 2, is due next year. But Crytek was only responsible for the original before flogging the rights to Ubisoft. So if you're looking for the true spiritual sequel to Far Cry, you need only look at what the studio has just unleashed exclusively on PC. And in this case, we're quite happy to look. And look. And look again, with lots of touching.
Still see an armor out there. Clear a path so I can get the hostage out.
Crytek was set up in 1999 by the 3 Yearly brothers. Since we're here, we might as well have a poke around.
Here we have our multiplayer pit. Do you guys want to hear a snapshot of the music?
The music is dynamic, so this means the music reacts to the AI's actions, also the player's actions, and should give you that adding feeling, adding the ambience to the player's actions.
Here we have here R&D. And here is the Crysis team, basically the development team of Crysis. So this room is called Jail. That's for the press. So we can walk actually here as well. That's Jevad's office. So that's our motion capture area. And yes, it's the markers on the ground is basically the area which we can capture with the facility here.
Here's Crytek's trophy wall of magazine covers for Crysis. Games magazines? Do people really still read those? Ha! How quaint. Most of the floor space during our visit was dedicated to the final throes of Crysis development. Yet while it's a PC exclusive, we couldn't help but notice consoles lying all over the place, including a room dedicated to next-gen experimentation.
Here we have some very cool PS3 technology. Unfortunately, we can't see anything, but so we are developing on the technology side. We are researching the PS3 heavily, actually, X360 and PS3. But like I said, it's R&D, so it's basically part of the technology group.
Go on, James! And there's also a big area set aside for Crytek's top secret next game. But more on that a little later.
Now you can turn off your camera, please.
Crysis, it's worth repeating, is not a Far Cry game. Instead, the player is cast as part of the usual Last Hope Special Forces unit, fighting beneath the long shadow of geopolitical conflict. So it's different, but, well, it is set on an island again.
We do know how to make pretty jungles. And while we took it to the next step with all the breakability and the level of detail we have in Crysis, it was kind of the logical step to start with it and then take it into a different direction, which is what we try to do with Crysis.
The first thing that happened after we finished Far Cry, we wanted to do something new and something special. And once again, we did want to do something with the jungle again, but at the same time, we wanted to introduce something that we haven't done before or nobody else has done before.
So, yes, it's on that island again, but one so realistic you can almost feel the sand up your crack.
It was very important for us to get more photorealistic than Far Cry was. It was super important for us to get as close to reality as possible. We aimed for something that looks like something you would expect a real jungle to look like, not a game jungle to look like. And it was always a very, very important criteria for us to try to recreate world around us. Everywhere you look, there's an example of how things will be in real life. You know, in the beginning when we had these levels first, we didn't pay too much attention towards how big the road is, how far it is from the fence. As you know, sometimes an object would be too close to the road, the fence would be too close to the road, and all of this takes too much away from the realistic environment. It doesn't look like a village from a video game.
Yeah, while Crytek may have played it safe with sun, sand and sniping, Crysis doesn't spend the entire adventure striding along the beach in its DirectX 10 Speedos. It all gets a bit too frosty for a start. The big change, with both the look and the feel, comes only as the story's sci-fi centre is uncovered.
Yeah, that was actually quite something, because it's just this part of the game that you can't look at another game and say, oh yeah, let's look at what they did and how can we advance from there. It's something that nobody really did before, and it was a lot of trying it out and testing and trying out different themes. I think there was a lot of things we tested and we thrown away again because it didn't work, it wasn't fun. The aliens, we had to work on them, so it was quite something to achieve.
No research trips available for this, sadly, unless you count years of traipsing back and forth to the DVD store.
Although we looked at all these examples, in the end we had to step away from them as much as possible. Our alien doesn't look like anything, not like Alien, not like Predator, not like a guy from Independence Day. I mean, it's completely different. It's more like a sea or underwater creature, maybe slightly influenced by something like Abyss.
Islands, aliens, global conflict, same old, even when it does look this good. So let's talk nanosuit.
Maximum speed.
The feature that turns your average middle-of-the-code FPS soldier into a strategic Superman. The nanosuit boasts a range of special powers. With infinite recharge, powers of speed, strength, armour and cloaking dramatically expand the ways in which you can tackle the adventure. And amazingly, for such a key feature, it was relatively late on that Crytek decided to give players all the powers right from the start.
Maximum armor.
We made a first prototype, put aside a couple of designers, a programmer, an artist, and put them in one room and said, hey, this is the nanosuit, this is what we want the thing to do, like listing cool stuff, like I want to be able to, jump over a house, I want to pick up a guy and throw him into the next week, I want to punch a car that it flips over, all these kinds of cool Hollywood type of things we wanted the player to be able to do. And they came up with this prototype, and that was so much fun that we said, no way, we have to give this thing to the player right from the start.
But you obviously can't just nanosuit your way through the game with your eyes shut. Enemies in Crysis are, as they were in Far Cry, more thoughtfully murderous than the typical shooter grunt.
So that's sort of showing what the AI does behind the scenes. They have formed groups and they attack me as a group. We form certain groups dynamically in the game, and then just they have a really simple, super simple behaviors. Something that you can understand. Like in Far Cry, we had already this flank left, flank right kind of thing, and we also wanted to have the similar kind of simple behaviors, that there's one group which kind of comes directly towards you. Maybe there's one group who holds back a certain portion, maybe there's one group which kind of constantly starts flanking you. And when we mix and match these different kind of group tactics, it becomes more interesting.
The big guy's very pleased with how it's all turned out.
Looking at this as an achievement point of view, the biggest aspect I'm proud of is we were nobodies. We didn't do a game before, ever. I mean, 80% of the team didn't do any game. Far Cry was our apprenticeship work, if you really want. I mean, we learned to do games as we did Far Cry.
PC gamers have every reason to be smug about Crysis. It's a sneering two fingers in the face of console fanboys, especially when the developer suggests that PS3 and 360, well, aren't up to the job.
If I compare per frame, I can achieve everything I want on any platform, like on these three platforms, PC, PS3, 360. But if you look at the memory we are consuming, the streaming in mind, the amount of bandwidth we need, and the resident memory footprint we need, it's something not possible today on consoles.
While we're on the subject of consoles, dev kits are in the building, so don't worry, joypad warriors, Crytek's on the case.
Yes, I'm sure in the next 2-3 years you will see something on consoles. I mean, we are very excited about consoles. It's a different strategy of platform, different target audience, different expectations as well. They don't care about POM or like parallax occlusion mapping or normal mapping. They just want the experience.
So that wouldn't be anything to do with, you know, that top secret game we saw earlier, but we're not allowed to talk about, would it?
I think it's nothing like Crysis or Far Cry. Complete departure. Yes. But I think people will love it because it's, I think, our next big thing to come from us.
You dirty great tease, Yearly.